Good morning. Sawadee Kap. Sawadee Ton Chow. How's everybody doing? Hopefully you can hear me all right. I don't have the mic with me today because this is kind of spur of the moment. I thought maybe I'd stream tomorrow, but I decided to stream today. Good morning, Mr. Carnivore. Yeah, I thought I was going to stream tomorrow. I thought, stream tomorrow. But I had thought about streaming today. I'm really, the streaming, I'm thinking about this a lot. The streaming, the videos I can do on the same day pretty much every week or same days every week. But the streaming, what happens is I go somewhere different. Maybe I just happen to be going there or something. So when I'm like, all right, well, it's not the normal day, but I'll stream, and that's how it works, And then it's the same thing with the time. Today I thought I've got to get some thing. Alex is a little bit sick right now, and so I've got to get him some medicine, and I've got to get some food. I've got to get some stuff for tonight because my Nicholas is coming over today, and then he's leaving tomorrow, and my wife is leaving Saturday, so she wants to have dinner with everybody tonight, So I got to go out and get a little bit of food for us, and I thought, well, I'm going out. I'm probably not going to go out tomorrow, so I thought, might as well stream today. So that's why I'm here today, if it matters. Anyway, I'm at Lot Prowl 101. Something I'm going to do at least once every couple of streams or once every other week. I'm going to go to a new cafe. I was doing this before. I don't know why I stopped. And there's a plethora of cafes around the area here and also down at Sukhumvit, which I can get to very easily by boat or by motorbike or whatever. So that's something that I want to be doing. Today we're going to talk a little bit about whether or not the juice is worth the squeeze, and whether or not everything is worth it. And I'll get to what I mean by everything in a few moments. But first, I want to say I've got an interview coming up. There is in the community tab. I put up the link to the New Yorker magazine article about another subscriber from the channel who I talked about, and I have been working with him for the last, 2 months now to try to arrange something, but he needed to have, hey Jim, he needed to have this article in the New Yorker magazine come out first before he did anything else. He's done something with PBS, he's done something with the New Yorker magazine, and now he's doing it with me. He's going to talk about his experience in Afghanistan when he was kidnapped and then when he was released, and how it relates to Thailand, because he's had a couple of Thai girlfriends. He's come over here several times, and so it should be a good interview. But I'll be talking to him in the next couple of days, and I'm not sure if we're going to stream or we're going to do a video. I'd like to kind of do a stream now that I think about it, but whatever makes him comfortable. So that's going to be happening. There's all kinds of stuff happening. But what really got me thinking, there were a couple of reasons that I decided to talk about what I'm talking about today. And I don't have my computer, I don't have articles to refer to, I'm just going, I'm flying by the seat of my pants here. But the government, the Thai government is always, listen, I'm sorry, governments in general, they irritate me. Hey, Mr. Mitch, how you doing? The governments in general irritate me. The U.S. government, forget about it. They irritate me to no end. I don't even care about what goes on there anymore. And I don't mean to sound negative or anything like that, or flippant, whatever you want to call it. I just don't care about what happens in the United States now because I don't live there. I haven't lived there in almost 30 years. Why would I really care? I mean, I care enough. Of course I care about the human beings there, my friends. But when it comes to, is it really affecting me? Is it affecting anybody that I care about? No, most of the time I don't care. And so the U.S. government, forget about it. All the other stuff going on in the world, most of the time, forget about it. With the Thai government, seldom does it really affect me, but there are some things that do irk me. And Pathia Bob, who is always a good resource for information because he's constantly looking at the news and, more than I do, which, I try not to do it too much, but I do a cursory look every day to see what's going on. But he sent me this article about these drug tests. And, every so often here, the police will go into a club or something and they just lock it down and say everybody's got to test for drugs. Now, that alone kind of irritates me. And the reason it irritates me is because it has to do with people's freedoms and privacy. But I read this article and the police actually went door to door in a neighborhood testing residents for drugs. And, I can see myself being in this position. They come in and I'd be like, no, I'm not testing. And then what's going to happen? Are they going to force me to test? Are they going to, try to cajole me? Oh, well, if you have nothing to worry about. No, it's not about that. Why do you suspect me to the point where you would have to test me? So that kind of irritated me. But they're always irritating me. I mean, think about it. The politics, the BS that goes on here, the way that they refer to foreigners, all these things just irritate me. And I mean, I try not to let it get to me too much. It's not to the point where I'm walking around irritated with the government all the time. But if we want to talk about it, then it's like, wait a minute. Some of the things that they do here are just ridiculous. I mean, I'm not even talking about the alcohol and how they only sell from certain times. It's idiotic to me. It's absolutely idiotic. Good morning, Jim. Good morning. And, I was talking to somebody yesterday. I was talking to two people yesterday. And both of them have traveled extensively. Both of them have lived in other parts of the world. And both of them are not really keen on Thailand as a place to live anymore. 20 years, when I moved here, it was definitely a place to go. If you are sitting around at your house and you are 50 or 60 and you're waiting to come to Thailand, it might be the greatest place on the planet. But if you've come here when you see the freedoms that you had, and then you see, and it's not like I'm doing anything wrong. I have nothing to hide, or there's nothing like that. But when you see how they are, and I don't mean they're tightening up the ship, I mean they are cinching the noose. When you see these kind of things, and slowly but surely things change to the point where you're going, wow, it's really like that? And I see some of the things going on in other countries. I have to question whether the juice is worth the squeeze for people coming over here right now. Now, it would be easy to say, yes, come on over. It's easy to say that. But if you weigh some of the options with other places, and you think about what you get, and you think about the higher standard of living, which if you have money, the standard of living here can be pretty good. Aside from our cheap condo that we live in, our standard of living is quite good. And I had somebody yesterday write me and go, oh, how much is it going to cost for a single person to eat? that's kind of like asking how long is a piece of string. But for, as I said, my wife could probably get by on about 50 baht a day on food. That's 1,500 baht a month. That's dirt cheap. But she would not be eating all that healthy. And, for some people, they're just like, okay, I'll eat rice and fish all my life. And for breakfast, I'll have some rice porridge. And they're happy with that. They're eating for under 100 baht. That's less than $100 a day. That is, to me, is not the way that most people want to live. It's a way that some people live because they either have to or because they're cheap. And they have to be. Maybe they just want to be, or they're just naturally really cheap. They're kino, farang kino. But I gotta wonder, when you see some of the things, when you add everything up, you got the guy who, he may be the next prime minister, Anutin, calling foreigners filthy foreigners because they're the ones who brought the virus to Thailand. Which that's, listen, maybe it happened, but it could have happened with Thais, it could have happened with any nationality. It doesn't have to be a Westerner, it could have been somebody from who knows where. When you hear these kind of things coming out of the government, it's just, it's too much. Listen, Jim, you can find pretty much whatever you want, and I could talk about that extensively. I can tell you right now that there's no limit. They may say there's a limit, and this is another thing, and the guy on, Integrity Legal, he's a lawyer, but he doesn't practice law here because you're not allowed to. He's the managing director, I believe, of Integrity Legal. Was talking about how it pissed him off what the Bangkok Post wrote, and I don't always agree with what he says, but he makes a lot of good points. But I definitely agreed with him because he's like, wait a minute, so you're talking about the small entrepreneur, he makes a business and the business prospers, it flourishes, and then they get wealthy because of it, and it's because they're selling weed. And this is not really a good thing. It's the only reason that you've got these, that you've legalized weed. Well, that's not the only reason, because we know there are people, they just want to smoke weed, they just want to eat the stuff, they just want to do whatever they do. And then there are people who need it for medical purposes. So these are some of the reasons. And then, yes, a small business owner can become fairly wealthy. Now, his name is, what's his name? I don't know what it is, but it's not Sebastian. It's Integrity Legal is the name of his channel. And he makes some good points sometimes. I don't watch all his stuff or anything like that, but I'm constantly getting sent all kinds of messages and links and stuff like that. And I think it was 2Q Asia that sent me that. And it was pretty interesting because, the Bangkok Post wrote this, and it's like they're acting like because they're in business selling weed that they're doing something wrong. It's legal. Sorry, the government legalized it. So, what are you going to say? What are you going to say about that? Now you're going to reverse it, and every shop's going to go out of business, and you're going to lose the revenue, and they will tighten things up. They will start to, Benjamin, is that what it is? Yeah, okay. They will start to tighten the ship up a little bit, and they will make some laws. Eventually, things happen slowly here. So, well, listen, the booze thing is idiotic. When I was a kid, if I wanted to get booze, I could get it. It's easy. It's not that difficult. You want to get booze, you can get it. But don't act like weed is all that much worse than alcohol, because it's not. Okay? I don't believe that. And I don't care what anybody says. I'm going to say alcohol kills a lot more people than weed does. Far more. So if they want to jump on the bandwagon and bash people for that, okay, listen, I understand, maybe, you should not be driving an automobile when you're stoned out of your gourd. Maybe, they need to come up with some ways of determining what can and can't be done, because let's face it, they are a little, this is Thailand. That's the thing. Thailand is a lenient place. Oh, we're going to start arresting people who don't wear helmets. Well, wait a minute. How many Thais do you arrest that don't wear helmets? There's 2 people going by right now, don't have helmets. There's another lady going by here. She doesn't have a helmet. There's 2 people with helmets and 2 more with helmets. There's a driver with a helmet, a kid with no helmet. There's 2 more right now, no helmets. So now, if you really want to do something, and now this brings me to the red card, yellow card, do not pass, go, you're out of here plan in Phuket, which to me is, why do you got to label it? And why do you have to pick on the foreigner? Get your shit together in Phuket and deal with the mafia taxi drivers. Deal with the people who are causing the crimes, which for the most part is the Thais. Deal with your own people. They can't even deal with their own people, and yet they're trying to kill the golden goose. You want foreigners to come here, stop harping on them, stop giving them a hard time. If you get caught riding a motorcycle and you don't have a license, as you should be penalized. However, they're saying you get penalized if you do anything again. You get penalized again, they deport you, and you cannot come back in to the country, and I don't know for how long. They're not specific. It's kind of like immigration about a lot of things. It's kind of like a lot of things in Thailand. They're not very specific, and they do what they want. They call the shots, and it's like, well, wait a minute. There's no law about that. Oh, yeah, well, sorry. This is how we do it here, and you can't do anything. I still don't know. Is vaping legal or not legal here? I always thought it was illegal. Then I see, no, it's not legal. Then I see it's illegal to bring, Patya Bob still giving me a hard time about my drone license. I do have a drone license. I do have the insurance. I'm all squared away, but I did crash the drone. And, what are you going to do? What can I say? I crashed, okay. I will say this, when I fly the drone, I'm always a little, just like I drive a car. I go a little too fast. I try to do a little bit too many things that maybe I should be a little safer, but it'll eventually get fixed, but I've got a lot of things coming up in the next few months, and I need every dime I can get, and so hopefully I'll get it fixed by the time I go to the States in Ecuador. I would like to do that, but there's a handful of things that I need to do, and I can only do so much. I'm only one person. I was thinking about that the other day. Isn't there a height requirement? Yeah, you have to be 3'10" to fly a drone. You can get the drone licenses from several places. It's not like you have to take a test and you don't have to do that, but you need to have the insurance is the big thing. So if you crash into somebody's head and you slice their face open and they need 500 stitches or something, it's covered. They sue you. It's I don't know if that'll be covered. I wouldn't go that far here in Thailand. This is another thing, and this goes where I'm not just picking on Thailand here now. But anytime you're getting insurance, you better read the fine print, and you better look it over with a fine-tooth comb. and you better do that more than once. Well, if you wanted to, you could fly as long as you knew the basics. It would be easy for you to fly, but if you crashed into someone or hurt someone, you'd be in a lot more trouble than, you know. Joe, hey, how you doing? What's happening? Good morning, and choke D to you. Immediately, not shut out. Thank you, Joe. Appreciate that. All that adds up at the end of the month, man. Let me tell you. And, you know, it's great to go to the U.S. and, you know, I get to see my parents, I get to see my sister, I get to see my niece and nephew. That's great. I'm not really looking forward to the actual flight. That's the thing, like I've said numerous times lately. I just don't enjoy the traveling anymore. And especially, you know, the flights are anywhere from 23 to 40 hours, depending on which flight we get. Yeah. Okay. So, all of these things, now, I'll tell you why I say, is the juice worth the squeeze? Because my wife has said to me, you know, over the last few years, she said, oh, you know, maybe we should stay in the U.S. for a year so I can get my citizenship, year and a half. And, you know, there is a part of me that agrees with her. I think she should get it. I'm probably going to go before she does, and maybe it would be beneficial for her and the kids to live there. I don't know. But at least have the option to do so. And then, you know, we're going to Ecuador. At least it looks that way. And fortunately, we have a nice place to stay there. And I just thought to myself, there's a lot of things I don't like here, but you know what? If I go somewhere else, there's probably going to be a lot of things I don't like there either. And I thought to myself, I was thinking about Ecuador, I was thinking about Portugal, I was thinking about Costa Rica, I was thinking about Belize, because, you know, I see these videos sometimes of all these, oh, these are the greatest places to live. And then I think, is the juice worth the squeeze? I don't know. I don't know now. At this point, I don't know. I used to know. I don't know anymore. I don't remember. You know, the kids are old enough now where she doesn't get anything for them. That's for sure. But I started thinking about the difficulties of moving to a foreign country as an older person who is, you know, really set in their life. And I'm set in Thailand. I mean, you know, I was looking around and I'm like, look at all these little, I mean, I got little screwdrivers, Allen wrenches, pieces of paper, glue. I got, you know, 50 pens, and, you know, we got dishes and forks and knives and glasses and plastic and blah, 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 blah. You know, we got a life. We built a life here. And I think about it and I think, okay, so you go over somewhere else. What are you going to do? You're going to ship a container over there? All right, you can do it. It's expensive, especially if you're going to do it somewhere like Ecuador from Thailand. You think about it, it doesn't matter where you're going. You're still going to have to acclimate yourself. You're going to have to do all these things. And yes, it can be done. But is it really worth it? Is it worth it? Especially when I'm in a place here where, aside from the pollution, and I'm talking about noise and air and the likelihood that a Thai walking by will just drop his garbage on the ground. I'm talking about all these things. I think about that and I think, you know, there are other places in Thailand that are better. And I'm not talking about Pattaya, sorry, Pattaya Bob. I'm not talking about Phuket, certainly. there are other places definitely that you can live that are quite nice, and you can have a good life, and you know, people don't bug you. I mean, all in all, it's a good place to live still. But is it really worth coming here now? I know there are people in America who scream and yell about how terrible the U.S. is now and how Thailand is paradise. Well, then why don't you live here? Okay, because you can't. Well, that's the position many people are in. Frankly, I got lucky. I got really lucky. I got lucky in the beginning, and I'm still fortunate right now. So, you know, I'm curious to know, like, you know, you got Gennaro, he's getting ready to come over here. Now, he's not that old. He's not 70-year-old coming over here. But for somebody who's a little older and who's set in their way, it is a huge move. When I came over here, yeah, I had a little business. I basically it was basically the bathroom. There was a back area that I didn't rent, and in the front area was my office, and there was 2 desks in there. And I basically told the guy he really wanted my customers. That's what he wanted. He didn't care about my equipment, my desks, my computers, or any of that stuff. He didn't really care about that, because the customer list is what generates the revenue. So he bought it from me, right? Now all I did was turn it over to him and say, "There you go. Here's the key, buddy. It's all yours. You got to be out have the stuff out by the end of the month." Boom, my money comes. Then I got, you know, stuff like videotapes. Back then it was VHS tapes, cassettes. I had some CDs, clothes. I had a little bit of furniture. I just basically left that. So it was, my point is, it was relatively easy for me just to pick up and leave. When I came here, I had 3 bags. Much easier to be here that doesn't make sense, Bob. Much easier to be here after 50. Oh, I see what you're saying now. Well, you know, back in the day, when I came over here, there was a lot of younger people, guys in their 20s and 30s. It decreased because of the recent rules and everything that's going on here. But really, when I think about it, I did what I wanted to. Well, you're recommending that. I always recommend that, Jim. And like for Gennaro, I don't know how long it's been since Gennaro's been here, but Thailand has changed. The prices are going up for just about everything. Now, granted, you could still live cheaply. Like I said, if you really want to live on the cheap, you can, but why? Okay, well, maybe, you know, like somebody like Jono, who I did see the other day. We hung out for a couple hours and shot the shit. Yeah, so it's changed a lot in 10 years, Gennaro. Now, he could not have lived in the Bay Area in Northern California. He could not have afforded to live off of what he has now. And while he could have scraped by, he lives far better here off the same amount. Sagale? Why is he going to go to Sagale? There's nothing in Sagale. Don't go to Sagale, man. You'll be disappointed. But definitely come over and feel the place out. Listen, if you got the money, go to somewhere else as well. Go to another couple of countries. Feel them all out. Do your research. Yeah, I understand. And listen, Jono, as much as I razzed him about it, He planned this trip and his life. He had a 10-year plan. And he moved over here and he had an idea of how it was going to be. And it still wasn't the same way. Even now it's not the same for him, but he has grown accustomed and he has his own little bubble and he has a good life. Cambodia, you know, I got a buddy who lives there now and he loves it, but he is an older guy. I think he's a year older than me, and he's single. He doesn't care about, you know, finding a love interest or anything like that, you know. Just needs to get his weasel greased once in a while. And, you know, he's there just because it's a chilled out place and he doesn't want to go back and live in the States. I would say, like, for me, I don't know. Could I do it? Yes. Would I want to? Do I want to? Would I want to? No. And especially not with a family. Much different culture than, it's like going to Myanmar, and you know, if you're gonna live in Myanmar versus Thailand, it's some people still say Thailand is third world, but it's a developing country, and it is fairly developed, at least in Bangkok and the big cities, you know, places like Pattaya, Chiang Mai, Phuket. So there's something to be said for that. Malaysia actually is supposedly the best place in Asia, Southeast Asia, to live right now. I don't know, but I agree with that because I haven't spent any substantial time there. I've only spent a couple of days there at a time. And I personally don't like the vibe. I don't like the vibe as much as I like the vibe here, which the vibe here is people are smiling. You know, you walk by, they say hello. They don't bother you too much. You know, I don't get checked. Our village doesn't get checked. We don't have the police walking down the street checking to see, you know, you're going to have to take a drug test. We're going to have to test you because you might be on drugs. Yeah, you don't have to get out of one of the big cities. I would say it's good to see the more traditional aspect of Thailand, which can be found in the smaller cities and in the villages. Yeah, but Jim, let me just tell you something. I understand why you like where you live and you become accustomed to it and you feel the way that you do. I do understand it. I will say this, though. Give it another 5 years and see how you feel. Give it another 10 years. I know I've seen guys who have said to me, oh, you know, I'm going to be fine in 5-10 years. Okay, I understand you might be. But your view will change. Just like Thailand will change, your perspective of Thailand will change. It's going to happen. It will happen. Yeah, I mean, listen. Say what you will about living in the villages. There are some nice things about it, which is, you know, the people are nice and they're very friendly and helpful and, you know, that kind of thing. But also then the people are nice and they're friendly and they get on your nerves after a while. I've done it. Several times I've done it. And, yeah, well, a year is nothing, Jim. Really, seriously, a year is nothing. Wait 5 years and see how you feel. Now, if you get 5 years out of that place and you're still happy, great, that's fantastic. But if you start feeling like, oh, I'll tell you, I lived in a village in Udon Thani for a little more than a year. And I was like, you know what? I just can't do this for the rest of my life. I can't live this way for the rest of my life. I am not stimulated. I am not, yeah, I'm not stimulated. That's, and I don't mean, you know, I mean, it just doesn't provide enough for me. I can't sit and watch TV all day. I can't go and hang out with a bunch of other expats who are drinking beer. I can't do it. It'll drive me nuts. And I knew a couple of expats in the village where I was. And they always wanted to go and sit around and drink beer. And I'm like, you know, to me that's a waste of time. I don't want to sit around and drink, or I understand you get together once in a while, you have a nice meal. Okay, that's great. Yeah, I mean, Gennaro, you're going to find that I still believe the positives outweigh the negatives. However, when I hear things coming out of the government's mouths, it makes me a little bit leery of the future here. And granted, I may only live another 10 years, 20 years. So what's it matter? And that's the thing. Now, you know, I think about how things would go down. And I had a nice chat yesterday with someone who was saying, listen, don't be opposed to moving back to the U.S. Don't be opposed to moving to Ecuador or somewhere in Europe. Don't be opposed to it. Keep an open mind about it, which I understand. Well, can you get tacos there, Jim? That girl scared me. Anyway. No, I mean, you know, it's like when I used to live in Udantani. I lived in the village. I would go into the city just to have something to do, and that was when the mall in Udantani was complete garbage. There was nothing at the mall. It was, I mean, it was not a good mall. It was piss poor. Now it's quite a bit better. So if you're in the city, yeah, there's you know, there's enough to do to keep people busy, and there's more bars there. There's more foreigners there. It's never black and white, or it's rarely black and white. I will say that. So, you know, what one place may be good for someone and the other place is not. There are people who love living in the city. There are people who love living in an apartment complex or in a condo or whatever it might be. I am not really one of them. I don't know that living... What does Jono dislike the most about Bangkok? Well, I think the pollution is something that he's starting to really have a problem with. And also, just the fact... I think he likes a lot of things here, but the pollution is a big one, and the rising prices is another one. Because he goes shopping at the grocery. We were just talking about it the other day, where he went and bought something, and, you know, it used to be 100 baht, now it's 130 baht. That's 30%. And I'm like, yeah, I know, man. You know, now I find myself more than in many years looking for items that are on sale or that are 2 for 1. Like, I'll give you an example. I went to the grocery, I guess, day before yesterday, and, or maybe it was yesterday, I don't know. I go all the time. And they used to have this cheese all the time. It was 2 for 1. You get 2 packs for 1. And it was a fair amount. And you paid like 99 baht. Maybe you paid 120. Now they have the 1 pack on sale. And it's 120 baht. and I'm not paying for it. I'd rather get a better cheese. And so I go to look at some of the cheese, and I'm like, wait a minute, this cheese used to be 105 baht, now it's 140 baht. So when I find, like yesterday I found, or whenever it was, I found a pack of cheese, and I go, well, that looks good. It's cheddar cheese, and it's a good brand. And it was 130 baht, and I grabbed it, and there were 2 of them. It was get one free, buy one, get one free. I'm like, you know what? Here you go. This cuts the cost considerably. I'll get this. But a lot of times, man, you want to go get some salmon nowadays? Even when the last time when 2Q Asia was here and he had salmon, where we had salmon, the salmon prices have gone up. It's crazy, you know. This is what happens in the world, so you can't complain too much about it. And it's just like the airline tickets. I've been complaining about the price of airline tickets. It used to be I could get back and forth to LA for 700 bucks, maybe 600, without the air courier prices, just a regular flight. If I looked around, I could get one for 600 bucks. It cost me 300 bucks to get to Florida, maybe 250. So I could get all the way to Florida for like 850 bucks. Now it's 1250 to 1500. And granted, some time has gone by, but just before the pandemic, the prices were not that high. So these corporations are trying to make up their lost revenue. And, you know, what are you going to do? You can't blame them, really. But then it doesn't make anything easier, because going back and forth is a huge ordeal. I mean, think about it. If we're paying 1,500 bucks a pop, that's $6 grand for 4 people. That's incredibly expensive, in my opinion. You used to be able to get an around world ticket for 1,500 bucks, but that was 30 years ago. So, you know, what are you gonna do? Hey, listen, go visit my website. I've got a link to that article I was talking about in the New Yorker magazine about this guy Mark Frerichs, the civilian contractor who was kidnapped. I must stink because there's flies flying all over the place here. The link is up on my website, and also, of course, the shop link. Get yourself a hat, a cup, a shirt, whatever. At AmericanInBangkok.com, and don't forget to leave a thumbs up and subscribe and all that other stuff. Yada, yada, yada. Anyway, so for now, I would say Thailand still belongs in the top 10 or top 20 as a place to move to as an expat. Prices are still reasonable for the most part. And you know, I know people going, oh, I'm going to pay 10,000 baht or 15,000 baht and get an apartment. Well, you know, if you really want to do it, and you really want to do it smartly, you can get yourself a house for 10,000 baht. You can get yourself a house for 15,000 baht a month, or you can just buy one outright if you have the money, or whatever it might be. But you can get a lot for your money as far as accommodation here. So that's a big thing. And really, when it comes down to it, most people don't live extraordinarily adventurous, exciting lives. With all the trips that I took, and I just saw a question from this guy who used to fight in the UFC, and he was saying, where's the craziest places that, and you know, wildest places you've ever been? And I thought, wild compared to what? You know, yeah, I can't say that the electric is more reliable here, Jim. There's no way. I mean, I lived in Southern California and Palm Desert and Riverside and Huntington Beach, and the electric was about as good as it can get. Electric here is good, for sure. But there are instances where the electric goes out and, Yeah, but Jim, you always, and I understand you want to say, right now, like Patrick Bob just said, you have yet to experience the full spectrum of annoyances here. And for a lot of guys, they're just happy. Seriously, I was talking to somebody yesterday about this. A lot of guys are just happy to change their lifestyle. It doesn't matter where they go. They're happy. So they come to Thailand. Oh my God, it's fantastic. Yeah, cell phone is cheap here. I mean, come on. I mean, I'm on some pretty good 4G right now, and it's not all that much, and it's unlimited. I don't know. I'm gonna say this, Jim. While Bangkok has a lot of very positive aspects to it, I think in many ways it doesn't hold up to the United States. In some categories, it just doesn't stand up to it. And I think in due time, you will start to see things flourish and you will see the full spectrum. I really do believe it takes time. When you first come here, when I first came here, oh my God, man, I'm never going back. I'm never moving anywhere. And I look at things pretty realistically. I really try to look at all sides, the positive and negative. And some people here in Thailand, and go on, what is it, Thai Visa, what is it now, ASEAN, or whatever they call the site. Go on there, and you will get some of the most asinine people, some of the most holier-than-thou people. If you say, I really think that the government probably should do a little more when it comes to the cannabis industry. Oh my God, then why don't you go back home? You can't say anything negative. Oh, the pollution is getting terrible here in Bangkok. Oh, then go home. You don't appreciate Thailand. Oh, Jesus Christ. That's kind of how I feel. And, sometimes where you're coming from, I mean, maybe you were in a spot in Vegas that, you're really happy to get away and you come here. And then the other thing is you're with your partner, whether you're with a girlfriend or a wife or something, and you come over here. And if you're getting along and you don't have serious issues, then that just makes the experience even better, for sure. When I came over here, I didn't have a girlfriend. I broke up with my girlfriend when I came over here, or when I moved here. And for a long time, I didn't have a serious girlfriend. I didn't have any girlfriend for more than a month to 3 months here in the beginning. And I quickly, ferreted out the bad ones, which was about 90%. But I do think that if you have an established relationship with someone, and then you move here and you're with that person, I think it makes it that much better. So that, that may stretch out the time that you see things in a positive light to 7 years or 10 years. I don't know. The longer, the better. I wish I had that unjaded newbie outlook that I once had, but I don't. I look around and this street is fairly clean. But if I go down towards the Mall Bankabi and I look at one of the canals and I'm like, why can't they clean this canal? Why is the government not assigning 2 guys? All they do all month is clean up the canals. They go around cleaning up canals. They can clean it up fast enough to make a difference and go from certain areas, you know. We'll say in the Wang Tong Lang district or area, what is it? The, you know, like Bankabi district. You get a couple of guys and they clean the place up. Why can't they do that? I still remember my wife going to Singapore. She was in a very clean area, nice, pristine area of Singapore. She's like, why can't Bangkok be like this? I'm like, because they don't care enough to do anything about it. They're too busy doing other things, whatever that may be. For the most part, I don't know what the local government does in many of the areas. I have no idea what they do. I don't see the people. I don't hear much about them. And neither does my wife, you know. So, when I lived up in Isan, in the village in Udantani, the reason I left was, first of all, I had a girlfriend, and I just thought, I can't live with this girl for the rest of my life. I can't. She just, there's not enough of a rapport. It's always me having to teach her about stuff. You know. And that was one thing. And what I did was I said, listen, I need some time away. I'm going to get an apartment in the city. I got an apartment in the city, and it was 3 months. And then I told her, listen, I'm moving back to Bangkok. And it took me a couple of months to move back and forth. But I eventually did, and you know, that was how I broke up with her, because it just wasn't working. And I was bored out of my head most of the time. You know, you can only drive around. I would drive a motorcycle around in the villages. Stop at some little place and get a drink. Stop at a little coffee shop. And there weren't as many back then. And then I would constantly have some woman coming out going, oh, this is my daughter. You know, and I'm like, well, you know, I got a girlfriend. Ah, my been right. You know, here's my daughter. Isn't she beautiful? And, you know, in my head, I'm like, she's all right, you know. Do I get a test ride? Of course not, you know. So I got really bored and tired of that lifestyle. Just like I get bored here sometimes, but I find other things to do. There's enough stuff to do here where and I'll tell you what, I'm going to have to start migrating my grocery purchases over to Foodland or somewhere else. I really don't want to go to Tesco because they don't have a lot of the stuff that I want. They have some things, you know, but there are certain things that I don't want to negotiate on. Or, you know, I don't want it. There's no negotiation. I want this particular product. And it's usually a food product. So, anyway, I mean, yes, I saw that test ride. Friendships and families are tighter here. I don't know about friendships between ties. Families, definitely, they are much tighter. I mean, I have friends that I have friends from 40 years ago, 45 years ago. I still talk to them. So if I'm doing it, there are other people that do that as well. And yes, there are people like that here in Thailand for sure, but I don't know that I would say it's better here for that. With the families, to me, families seem to be much closer, and there's that obligation thing that goes on between kids, and not my kids, because we don't expect that. You know, the only thing that I would say is if my wife or I ever get in a situation where we're unable to fend for ourselves, we would hope that the kids would pitch in whatever way and help us. Hopefully that won't ever be the case, you know. But yeah, the family unit is much tighter here. I see a constant improvement being made here, much more advanced. My first 12 years ago, I wouldn't even get a burger and fries back then. Yeah, I mean, Thailand is developing. Yeah, I don't know. I really, I mean, I don't want to sound like a downer, but there are a lot of negatives here. And if you don't want to see them, then you'll be oblivious to them most of the time. If you want to see them, they're there for you. You know, I mean, I do like the fact that if you order something here, you can get it within, 30 minutes, 15 minutes, if that sometimes. I like a lot of things. I don't view the westernization as something positive, and I wouldn't see it as something positive in Japan, in Korea, in Cambodia. I think modernization and westernization are two different things. And Thailand is modernized quite a bit, and if you're in a big city, often the traditional aspect is dwindling, it's decreasing. I look around here, yeah, all right, they're selling fruit on the side of the road, under some tarp or whatever. Okay, they're doing stuff like that. But this area, like right where I'm sitting, it's a very modern area. I mean, you've got the MK restaurant, you've got a condo, you got a little Max Value over here, you got Starbucks, you got a weed place right over here. It's not like you were living out in a village, and that's a good thing, at least for the most part. When I stayed in Sangkhlaburi, I stayed in what would only be considered as a really basic guest house. Squat toilet, no air conditioning, only fan, but clean. And, it was okay for me. It's okay because it was only for a couple of nights, for 4 nights. Would I do it all my life? No, I don't want to. I could do it, of course. Whatever you have to do, you're gonna do it. You might not like it though. But would I do it willingly? No. Why? Why would I do it willingly? It's like once you know what it's like to come in from a hot day and go into and turn the air on, or turn a couple of fans on and open the window and you're on the 27th floor and the breeze is very, very nice, or the air conditioning feels nice, then you know, hey, I'm going to just do this every time I come back. You're not going to want to be down in some little hot, sweaty area. And there's a reason why there are more Western toilets now than there are squat toilets. Jim, do you have a Western toilet in your place? I mean, let's look at something. Let's look at the taxi drivers, the whole situation. Now, I go to Singapore. Those guys are dialed in, man. Well, that's... Think of China. China is horrible when it comes to that. don't know what I just said. I don't remember. But you look here, SkyTrain will be done. We got April, May. We got about 2 months and 3 weeks. We got about 11 weeks until the SkyTrain supposedly starts running. Now, of course, that's a good thing. It's great. Yeah, all right, I get around easier. You know what's even better to me? Living in a place with a minimal number of people, jumping on my own little motorbike and zipping down 10 minutes down the street to hang out at the beach and have my coffee. To me, that's better than going to a Starbucks. I don't know if any of you remember, and I don't know if I was streaming that day or what I was doing, but I was in Prachuap at one point, and I was walking along the beach on the boardwalk, and there was this little coffee shop. I took a photo of the cup of coffee and everything, and it turned out to be a pretty good seller for me as a photo. But I went to this place, and I thought to myself, wow, you can get a nice meal here. You can have a great coffee. And it was like 40 baht. And then I look, I'm sitting like this, and what am I looking at? I'm looking at the ocean. I'm looking at the birds flying in the air. I'm not looking at a concrete jungle. For me, that is better. And as I said a while back, you know, when it comes to my wife and I, my wife has been asking me, what do I want to do? Where do I want to live? Where do I want to go? Do we just want to keep this place? Maybe let Alex have our place, and maybe she stays at that place 2 days a week, 3 days a week for when she has to go to the office, and then I find a place somewhere else. And I'm all for it. So, you know, that's something else that, I mean, I got to get through the next couple of months, and then, you know, maybe I'll have a little place down there in Prachuap. Maybe, I don't know where to be. You know, if it's just me and her, I don't mind a small place that you pay next to nothing for, so that you can hang out. You go outside and you got fresh air and you got a beach and you got the ocean, and, you know, I think that's nice. But at the end of the day, it works out to just what you want, and is it worth it to you? I'm wondering, Jim, how many foreign countries have you traveled to? I'm curious to know. And which ones? You know, Mexico is turning into a huge place for Americans to immigrate to or to become an expat. Okay, Mexico. Mexico has improved. As Thailand has, Mexico has improved in many ways. And it's easier for Americans, and it's also a place that's close by, so it's a good place for Americans. I can see that. There's always Costa Rica, you know. And yeah, I just said Costa Rica. Costa Rica's a good place. Some people like Nicaragua. I've been there. I don't think I would want to live there. I've been to Panama. Oh, it's not an increasing problem in America or Thailand. I mean, in Thailand, for the most part, you're fairly safe. I wouldn't go wearing thick gold chains everywhere you go, but it's fairly safe. Safer than the U.S. for the most part. But the point is, there's a lot of places that you can go that are as good or better as here. Now, again, that doesn't mean you're still not going to have to figure out, is the juice worth the squeeze? Is it worth it? And that's why the little perfunctory trips are worthwhile. You know, Gennaro, you might come here for 3 months and then say, if I like it, I'm gonna tie up any loose ends back in the States, then I'll move here. If I don't like it, I'm going to go to plan B, which is wherever it may be. One thing that I always think about is, you know, if we were to move here, we would be starting all over again. Starting over as an older person is expensive. Can be very expensive. Not only are you going to have to, you know, pay to go over there, you're going to have to get settled, you might have to show a certain amount of money, blah, 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 but you're also going to have to buy the little things. You're going to have to probably buy all new appliances, and all that stuff adds up. Next thing you know, you're like, oh, okay, I'm budgeting 25,000 US. Next thing you know, you're like at 45 and you're still counting. Yeah, but Jim, you know, I understand, but there are unsafe places everywhere, and there are unsafe places in Thailand. I've been to some of them. Go to the Philippines, forget about it. There's a lot of unsafe places there. You know, yeah, I mean, in America, I've been in plenty of places. I've got jumped in America. Southern California, I got jumped. Pomona, I got into a fight with a guy. The guy pulled a knife on me. And I basically kept the door shut so he couldn't get out, and he had no way to get out. You know, now, to me, I think you're right, Jim. I think for the most part, you can walk around just about anywhere in Thailand, but I've been in a couple places where I was like, oh, I don't feel so good here. And you know, sometimes you gotta look for it. In Thailand, you gotta look for it sometimes. Sometimes you stumble down a street and you go, wow, this doesn't feel very safe. There's a street down, not too far down from here. I think it's 105 or 107. It was voted one of the most dangerous streets in Bangkok. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, wow. And the only thing I could think of is at night, there's a lot of drug use and drug users and drug sales going on, so it can be dangerous. You know, well, I used to live in California, and I'm damn glad I got out of there. I'm really glad I got out of there for a number of reasons. You know, obviously, I don't particularly like the political situation. Yeah, I mean, the chance of you carrying around a gun here is slim to none. Legally. Slim to none. And sometimes I wish, now we could finagle a few things at home, but not carrying it on our person. However, I will say this, that for the most part, with the exception of maybe 1 or 2 instances in 30 years, I've never felt threatened really by a Thai person to where they really wanted to go after me. For the most part, I didn't. I felt it like maybe 2 times. And I didn't feel so threatened where I thought, I'm going to lose my life. I thought, I'm going to have to throw down. That's what I thought. I better be prepared. I better look for a knife. I better look, you know, be prepared for the guy to pull a gun. One guy pulled a machete. He was an old man. You know, so it's, you know, I will say that for now, Bangkok is a very safe place. However, Thailand is a safe place. However, if you go to some of the tourist areas, that's where it can be a bit dicey. And I remember being in, I think it was Krabi. And Alex had just eaten his first Burger King burger. That was the first time he ever had Burger King in his life. I think I made a video of it. And he was so happy. And I walked out, and this guy's like, hey, man, hey. He was a tout. And I ignored him and just kept walking. I was holding Alex's hand. And the guy came and kept walking with me. And finally he touched me. And I said, hey, don't touch me, man. I'm like, keep your hands off of me. And he got nasty about it. And I told Alex, move away, get away. Move, go walk over there. Well, you know, listen, I say that. It always factors into the situation. Now, if I had moved over here right now, as opposed to, say, 30 years ago, my frame of reference, the way that I think now is much different than 30 years ago. 30 years ago, think about it. When you're 30, come on. You know, as a man, you're looking for, you want action. You want lots of fun. At 60, I don't think about it the same way. First of all, I'm married. I've been married a long time. And, you know, I don't have to worry about that. That's always there. So I don't ever even think about it really here. I mean, you know, it doesn't mean I don't look, and I don't notice things, of course, but I don't approach things the same way. And you will change as well. So that's why I say it's not worth coming here for. It's worth coming here for a short time, or you know, coming here short term. And you know, if you're going to live here for 2 years, hey, you can have the time of your life here. You're a younger guy, or even if you're a little older, you can have the time of your life here. Well, the temptation is strong, but then what happens is, you know, it's like, do you want to live for that? No, don't live for it. They're the ones who are supposed to be living for what you got, not the other way around. You know, I'm serious. Think about it. If you are the prize, and however you slice it, you probably are the prize, even on a small scale. You know, yeah, you may be very happy to be with the person that you're with, but they should also be equally as happy, or happier. Because hopefully you bring them up. So, you know, I think that's something to remember, especially when you're coming to, and it's not as much as it used to be here. In the old days, when I first came here, it would be like you're walking around in a market to think this is what's going to happen. However, once you get here, you will find that things are going to be different. They are not going to be the same. And so, like Patty Bob said, you know, you want to have a gig, she's going to have her hand out. She's going to want to go out to nice restaurants. I know. I've been in that position. You know. And I can tell you that every time you go out, it's going to cost you a couple $1,000. And that's not even if she's like, well, you know, hey, I need to get a little money. And if they are not taking that dough, then the chances are, okay, some of them, they just want to have a little fun. But, you know, they need to get theirs too. But if it's a regular thing, they're either going to want to move up the ladder and become the number one wife, or they're going to want to get paid, and it's going to cost you. And I can tell you, while you can get by on, you know, some will not take all that much, and some will take more. But I mean, even 30 years ago, 15,000, 20,000 baht was like, hey, it was a good amount, but it wasn't anything fantastic. And if they're really good looking, forget about it, man. You're going to have to find one that really likes you, and she doesn't want money, or she only wants a little bit, and a little bit might be 15, 20,000, 30,000. You know, so don't get your hopes up too high. And then the thing is if you want to have more than one, then you got to worry about them bumping into each other and running into each other and scheduling, and it's a pain in the ass. That's the bottom line. I didn't have one for a long time. Before I got married, I had no live-in girlfriend. But I had ones that would come over, and some of them felt that they could come over unannounced, and I had to check them on that. One time, I've told this story, and I'm not going to get into it because it's kind of lewd, but I had one that I, for some reason, gave her a key. I think I was like, okay, you go out. I'm going out with my buddies. I'll probably be back before you. So here's the key, you know, just in case. If I don't, you can come in, you'll be waiting for me. And I forgot about it. She never used the key. Then I forgot about it, and one day I'm doing my thing with someone else, and she walked in. Now, fortunately, it turned out well, and they started talking to each other because they were from the same area, which was pretty funny. But it can get nasty. Yeah. Hey, it was one of my more boneheaded moves. But yeah, I would say, Gennaro, just knowing you from what I've gathered over the years, you know enough about Thailand to get living here to get yourself in serious trouble. You might just get yourself in some trouble here. And believe me, I've done the whole screaming girlfriend, you know, the sobbing and tears, and I kill myself, and I've been there with these girls. I've done this in the past. It's been a long time. And as Patty or Bob can attest to, and several others who probably are watching that live here can attest to, is all that stuff gets very old very quickly, and you learn from it. You either learn or you end up, like, you know, getting sliced, or, you know, you end up changing. There are certain things you do and certain things you don't do. You know, one of them is that you don't even tell the girl where you live. If she's just a friend, you know, hey, pay for another place. And then, Gennaro, if you're going to be bringing back all kinds of girls, where are you going to bring them to? You're going to bring them back to your condo, and you're going to have them always doing the walk of shame, and then you're going to be walking in with a different one, and then the people that work at the place are like, they look at you like you're a piece of crap. And while sometimes it doesn't matter, I mean, I've done it, but they didn't think very highly of me, and I didn't care, because I was like, I don't care what you think. But really, I don't know. I mean, you know, it depends on what you're doing and what message you want to convey. And I had a very nice place a long time ago. Very, very nice place. I had my buddies coming over. They would come over to Bangkok and stay with me. And, you know, we would all have a friend come over, or friends. And I was constantly getting, you know, the stink eye and the kind of comments that were not so nice from the front desk, you know. And And not only that, but then you got to run the risk of, you know, girls brawling at your establishment. Are they going to get into a fight? Well, there you go, Gennaro. Additional expense. You know. The other thing to do is just go, I don't bring people back, and this is what I did. At some point, I said, I don't bring people back to where I live. Why not? Oh, I live in a terrible place. I don't want anybody to see. No, I don't believe you. Okay, we're going to this place. You want to go? Okay, we go. Exactly. Get the hotel, get the short time. There used to be a place, it's still there. The place down by Nana. It was the PB Hotel, Playboy Hotel. You go in there, boom, you know. Well, that doesn't really help you when you're traveling around the country, though. Well, and that's the other thing is, you know, there are places in Bangkok that you can drive your car into the hotel, and you drive into the parking lot, and then boom, you go in and park, and they close the curtains. Nobody sees your vehicle, and you walk right in from there. But, you know, to me, that's a lot of trouble to go through just because you want more than one girl. To me, honesty is the best policy. Hey, honey, here's the deal. I don't care what you do. Do whatever you want. I'm doing what I want. And, you know, do me a favor before you come over, give me a call. And that in itself will alleviate a lot of the problems. And then if you're bringing over some just nasty, you know, full-bodied, tattooed slot rather, and you don't want her coming into your place, then you go get yourself a little room or something. I mean, you know, listen, that's how some guys are. I'm just saying. I'm just putting it out there. You know, when you have all those hassles, Gennaro, or anybody else, it is a hassle. It becomes a hassle. And again, is the juice worth the squeeze? Okay, even if she's great, you had a great time with her for 2 hours you're with her. Is it really worth it? I mean, to get a new condo, a second place, most of the time, no. You're better off with the hotel or short-time hotel or whatever it is, or, you know, go back to her place. And I did get to do that several times, you know, when I first came over. I'd be like, listen, can we go to your apartment? And some of them would be like, no, cannot. And some of them would be like, okay, no problem. Because if you say something like that, then you're immediately, they already know what kind of guy you are. Yes, you can do it, but it's like speaking like you speak Thai like a bar girl. It's kind of like that. I cannot be boyfriend because me butterfly. And the girl, me airport, I helicopter. You know, I don't know. And after a while, you just go, you know what? Listen, honey, if you don't like it, hit the road. Don't ever come over again. You know. To me, that's what you do. You stand up, and that's what I did. That's what I did in the old days. But I had a couple little incidences. And then, you know, I nipped it in the bud. I've heard it all, man. I super butterfly. They don't say that here. They don't say a player. I'm a baller. You know, this is the other thing. I guess if you're 70 or 80, there's nothing wrong with indulging in the flesh of a younger woman. Nothing at all. I don't want to sound prudish. However, I mean, aside from that, what do you want them around for? Gennaro, I don't even remember how old you are. But let's say you're 60. You have your fun with the ones that are, you know, considerably younger than you. And then if you really want to, you know, 63. Okay, then, you know, you find one 40, 45. Well, Patsy Bob, that's what I mean. You know, back in the day, it was not. I thought it was, you know, a fair amount, and nowadays, you know, I mean, even my buddy tells me, even in Cambodia, the prices are outrageous. When I was first in Cambodia, it was $5, $10. Maybe you paid them 20, and you might give them a $2 tip. That's not how it is now. Gennaro, we know you're coming over here for a wife. You want to find your wife. You want to find your dream girl. And you'll be walking along, holding hands, grinning, so happy. I always laugh when I see that. You see some guy and he's like, the girl's walking in front of him, and he's kind of like, but you know, he's like happy as a clam. Happy as her clam. And then believe me, Gennaro, there will come a time when you're going, the juice definitely ain't worth the squeeze. Because after a while, 40,000 is about $1,200. After a while, you just go, there's all kinds of nice girls. It's a matter of which one you click with the most, which understands you, which isn't going to give you a hard time about stuff. And they're still going to give you that, you know, at least on a small scale. You know, after a while, though, the slots, it's kind of like using a slot machine, you know. You get tired of sitting there all night, putting your nickels in. Not all the time there, Bob. Not always. Well, Gennaro, I don't know what you need. You need a barista. You need a chubby little barista that takes care of you just like she makes a good coffee. You guys. Where are we for time now? All right, listen, I gotta say it one more time. Don't be shy. Click the thumbs up button if you like this stream, if you like all the streams, you like the videos, you like what goes on here. Look down below. You can click the thumbs up. You can click the join button. $1.99, $3.99. You can become a member of the channel. Get a little inside scoop once in a while. You know, look down below in the description. There's all kinds of ways that you can help support the channel. And, you know, see all kinds of different stuff. Oh, God. Please, no, Jim. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't let him get a little more upscale. First. Don't let him start out in the Bannock. Yeah, you know. I will say this about Thai women, that over the years they have started to shape up when it comes to their fashion. It used to be a joke. You know, they used to think they were very fashionable, and they weren't. It was a joke. It was a laugh. Now they have started to get better, but you're going to need to go in the higher end places. Janara, it depends on what you want. You just want something to keep you warm at night and take care of your manly needs, then it doesn't matter if they're from the farm, from the city, wherever they are. If you want a couple to be arm candy, I'm going to say, if you're going to be in Bangkok, stick with Bangkok for a little while, believe me. Go to a couple places go to where the money is. Hang out in the higher end shopping malls. You know, find one that has a job. Find one that has a purpose in life aside from living for you, and then she won't always be bugging you. Well, I will say this too. I've been in that farm area. I've been in Isan. I've been up there quite a long time, and I've lived up there also. And, you know, the girls who are actually working on the farm, yes, they tend to be lean and toned. But they don't want to be doing that all their life, I can tell you that. And what happens is they don't stay that way forever because of the KFCs and their diets. Listen, Thai diets, say what you will, but I mean, I haven't eaten much Thai food at all in the last 3 months. And, yeah, of course. Well, even if you're 60, that could happen. But, you know, there's a reason why they're a little larger than in the past. And I just saw a thing that 1 in 10 Thai children is clinically obese. That's a lot. They didn't say male or female either. So let's say that out of that 10, another 4 are a little chunky. They are pumpui. Good morning, Mr. Dallo. They're a little pumpui. Well, there's half of the people that are overweight. They tend to snack. They tend to eat noodles and rice and curry and you know, my wife has gotten away from white rice, and she doesn't eat very much of it. She doesn't eat it every day anymore. She doesn't eat many noodles most of the time. Her thing is the curry. Well, listen, don't travel to a country for that unless you're going. If you're moving there, you don't need to move there for that. To me, that's a. I don't know. I think I value quality over quantity. You know. There is something to be said about why foreigners tend to go with the girls from Isan. And the reason is because that's a poor region. You know, it's a poorer area than any other area in Thailand. So they tend to you know, they tend to hook up with those people who are going to provide a better life. Hey there, Mr. Scotty, what's happening? Mr. Scotty is the guy who lives in Cambodia. He said the juice wasn't worth the squeeze in Thailand and decided to move over to Cambodia. He's not a newbie in Cambodia, but he is a newbie as an expat in Cambodia, and he's not actually that new because he moved there I don't know how many months ago, but 2Q Asia is Mr. Billy, Mr. Longhorns. Jim, I'm sorry. I don't agree. No way in hell do I agree. No way in hell. You really want the best looking ones. I personally think they come from northern Thailand, and I don't mean northern as in Isan. I mean as in Chiang Mai, Chiang Rai. That's where I think the better looking ones are. And there are also some very attractive girls from the south. I'm not saying that the Isaners aren't attractive, but I don't think they're the most attractive. You're not going to find a whole lot of Burmese on the border that tend to be fantastic looking. Listen, I know that most guys end up with Isaners, and there are some extremely attractive Isan girls. I know firsthand. But I honestly, and I'm not just saying this, I don't think that they are the best looking Thai girls. And I do think that the better looking Thai girls tend to be lighter skinned. And that's coming from someone who's married to a woman who's dark skinned. As soon as I can, dude, believe me. You know, I'm going back to the States and Ecuador, and I got the old lady leaving this weekend for Spain, and you know, yeah, I'll probably go there when 2Q Asia is back in town, and we can go. Well, a lot of foreigners they don't mind the dark skin. I don't mind it, and like I said, and like I wrote in my book, you know, a lot of Thais will say, oh no, I don't like the dark-skinned girls, but they're with them. And most of the guys, they would be with any chick they could get. So it doesn't matter if they're dark-skinned, light-skinned, you know. You know what they say. But yeah, honestly, I think that a lot of... Oh shit! What was that? Did he hit a car? Yeah, he hit a car. Somebody hit a car. Oh yeah, it was a car. Okay, car and car. It wasn't car on motorcycle, fortunately. You can't really see it from here where I turn it. Now, listen, I saw a girl like that the other day who had plastic surgery. It was noticeable. Her nose looked like an alien's nose. It was like so pointy it looked like Pinocchio. She looked like Pinocchio. Yeah, it looks like everybody's okay. But it was a pretty hard crash. I can't really see what's going on, and I'm not about to walk over there. And fortunately, like I said, it wasn't a motorcycle. Somebody going that fast. Going that fast and hitting that hard on a motorcycle would not have fared very well. Don't go nuts over that, Gennaro. Don't go crazy. The reason that most or many people believe that the girls from the north are the best looking is because of the skin tone, which is like kind of white, kind of yellowish, more Chinese looking. Anyway, I'm sure they're going to work it out. It ain't the same as the days of Tommy's or the Navi Club when prices were dirt cheap back then, or what is it? What's the name of that place we used to go to all the time? The Paris Hotel. $15 a night hotel that wasn't bad at all. And they had a little fish bowl where you could get a massage, a massage. And it wouldn't cost you an arm and a leg. Listen, I've seen some pretty hardcore ladies working on the construction sites here. I mean, they look rough, and I mean rough not as in the way they look. I'm talking about rough as in, you ever get into a brawl, you might want them by your side. Oh, they've got a pet taxi. Wow. That's one thing we're considering when we go away is we're going to have Sid in a pet hotel for 3 weeks or so, which, that's not cheap. Sid. He's like the bad kid in the house. See if you can see anything else here before we sign off. It's just about time to go. I don't know what they're doing over there. I can't really see. They're still stuck there in the middle of the street. All right. We're all doing well. At least we're all saying we're doing well. Anyway, listen. Don't forget to click that join button, click the thumbs up, click whatever. Check out the description down below. Get yourself one of the Marvin Hagler hats or an American in Bangkok t-shirt or whatever it may be, or just keep watching. That'll suffice for now, at least. And for how long, Jim? I'll tell you what, and I said this before. Wow, all right. The 1-year visa. I'll tell you what, the last time I went to Vietnam, I told myself, if I'm going to go back to Vietnam, I am not going to stay in Hanoi or Ho Chi Minh because I just didn't enjoy it nearly as much as the first time I went. It's just too crowded. Both places are just too crowded and too noisy, and I just don't enjoy that. So I would go somewhere else. But, it's still a cool place. But, I got too many places to go to in the next year. So I don't think I'll be going back to Vietnam anytime soon. No. And he's with Chuck right now. It's not going to be happening. Chuck will be he'll be on a live stream fairly soon. And like I said, I got the guy there, Mark, who was kidnapped by the Taliban. He'll be on probably around sometime in the next 5 to 10 days. And it may be a live stream, maybe a video, I don't know. But I got my other buddy, the guy who's got the place in Ecuador, who is where we'll be staying. He runs the American Documentary and Animation Film Festival out in Palm Springs, so you can always check that out. He's got some great flicks coming up in the next few weeks. It'll be about 3 weeks. So he'll be on, and then Chucky. And then I still have the insurance lady. She hit me up, but she's not in town now. She's not even in the country now, so I'll get together with her. So we will have some interviews and people to talk to besides me in the next month or so. And then I'll be in a foreign country. I'll be, hey, I'm Scott, I'm an American in Miami. Hey, I'm Scott, I'm an American in Guayaquil. I'm in Ayampe or wherever it may be. I don't know. Maybe I'll be Scott, an American in Rome. I don't know. I'm not positive about anything yet. They're still sitting in the middle of the road. Anyway, ladies and gents, it's been fun. Scotty, it's good to hear from you. And as always, we'll talk soon. But it's time to get on out of here. The mall is open now. I got to go get some groceries. I got things to do today. I got research to do. People to see, places to go, and things to do. So until next time, I'm Scott. I'm an American in Bangkok. Choke me, Leo, jerk, and my. Goodbye, everyone. Hit that thumbs up. Subscribe if you're not subscribed, and I will talk to you guys later. I'll see you when I see you. Well, at some juncture. I don't know when, though. I got too many things on my table already. But at some point, I want to be there. All right? I'll talk to you guys later. Ciao, ciao.